Time to take control of your energy. Join our powerful grounding and shielding workshop, a must for empaths, intuitives, and anyone ready to reclaim their power. Learn to protect your energy. Stay centered in any situation. Live with clarity and strength. This workshop could change your life. Enroll at Deep South Paracomicon.
Podcast workshop with producer Gwen Johns. Do you dream of having your own podcast? Gwen Johns will discuss how to get started creating your own podcast and how to build an audience. Gwen Johns Podcast Workshop at Deep South Paracomicon.
Special announcement. Matthew and Lee Triana have something you have been waiting for. Special announcement. Matthew and Lee Triana have something you have been waiting for. You asked for it and now you got it. Victorian Ghost Files, Between Heaven and Ectoplasm. Special thank you to Thomas Gormley for writing the foreword. Have you wondered about Victorian ghost hunting? It is time to find out. Next, the book, Haunted Objects, Possessions That Won't Die is about cursed, creepy and dangerous artifacts that refuse to rest. Forward by John Zaffis, The Haunted Collector. Both books now on Amazon.
Hello, everyone. I am Sean Ellis from Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal, and tonight I will be filling in for Ms. Gwen Johns as the backup producer tonight, and also to introduce your host for tonight's show, Mr. Shane McLain.
Hey, guys. Welcome to Bridging the Seen and Unseen. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about this show. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Sean?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good myself. Like I said, like I tell Gwen all the time, there's no sense in me complaining because, you know, my wife won't let me and she usually won't have anything to do with it anyway. So I just prefer not to do it. But tonight, guys, we have such an amazing guest. And this guest I've been watching for quite some time. And she is the host of a real popular podcast called Truth or Demons. And let's bring her on, Mrs. Stevi Estes.
Alrighty. I'm going to drop backstage. Have a great show.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Hello.
Hey, Stevie.
Hi,
We're glad to have you here with us. We always start out the show, you know, when I start out, you know, always, you know, just introduce yourself and just kind of tell us a little bit about who Stevie is.
all right. I am obviously a podcast host. I have a million and one interests. I love everything to do with the paranormal. I'm also a seamstress, so I sew for a living. And this started as a hobby, but it's grown into so much more. And I really enjoy it, and I love doing it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you know, you have a pretty interesting, you know, your shows cover like a variety of topics. But I mean, when you said that when you got in that you had a passion for paranormal. I mean, have you had paranormal experiences in your life?
I have. Um, that's part of that's probably the biggest reason I'm into the paranormal is because ever since I can remember, really, my family, my mom has been into it. She's taught me about it. The experiences I've had, she's also shared. And we've done, when I got old enough to, we started our own amateur ghost hunting where we did our own investigations, or we would pay to go investigate a location overnight. And so I've always been really into it and I believe in it. I hate being fooled, and I know there's a lot of fakers in it, and I have been on ghost investigations that we paid, and people faked the happenings. They had like lights on timers or lights with remotes, and I got into this like wanting to highlight the real stuff and highlight also the faking. So that's part of how I got into what I do as well.
Yeah, yeah, and that's we'll get into your show and everything in just a little while too. Stevie, I had my first paranormal experience when I was 10 years old. You know, I really didn't have any before that, but my grandfather had passed away like 2 years before, and I was standing in a mirror when I was a kid, and my grandmother and I were getting ready for church, and this mirror my grandfather made, and I was adjusting my tie in front of the mirror, and I looked up in the mirror, and he was standing behind me with his hand on my shoulder, and I turned around and
Oh,
looked, and
I
he
love
wasn't
that.
there. And then that's the very first experience I had, and I'm 48 years old, and I have been chasing it since I was 10. And
I
I'm
love
a truth seeker just like you know, and I don't like how people, you know, go in and they kind of screw up what ghost hunting, what paranormalists really do. And I don't like that either, you know, when they go and they fake stuff. I remember when I was coming up, I used to use solo cups, red solo cups when I was younger. And you take and turn them upside down and you grab a ping pong ball and rub it against your head and you put it on top of the solo cup. And if an entity gets close to it, the static electricity draws towards where they are.
Wow,
That's
that one I've
old
never heard
school.
of before. That one's
A
really
really, really old school stuff. This is before, you know, because let's admit it, you know, you're going to spend a lot of money, you know, being a paranormal investigator. You spend a lot of money on equipment. You do. You spend a lot of money. Um, so, what happened during your
yeah.
first paranormal experience that you had?
So the first one that I know of that I had, I was 3, but I don't remember that one super clearly. I used to stay weekends with my grandparents, and my one of my uncles actually passed away at the house, and I didn't know this at the time, but I would wake up in the middle of the night and point at the door and tell my grandmother that Ricky was there, and that was apparently my uncle that had passed away. And I vaguely remember seeing a shadow in the doorway at night from her bedroom. So I kind of remember that. But the one I remember most, like the first thing that ever happened to me that scared me the most, was probably at another grandparent's house. It's always the older houses that your grandparents live in.
Right, right,
And
right.
I was sleeping, or I was trying to sleep. And because of movies, I had this intense fear of my blankets being ripped off of me. And so every night
Oh,
when I would
yeah.
fall asleep, I would be so afraid of that happening, and then it did happen one night, and ever since then, I've just been hooked on trying to find, like, everything. I want more experiences, I wanna experience more myself. I've had more sense, and it's just every time it's like it kinda fuels that need to know more and the belief in it.
Well, what's the best experience that you've had paranormal investigating? What's one that is like etched in your mind that you'll never forget? It's like your best one that you've had.
So, this is my favorite one. It didn't happen to me, but I was there. It happened to my mom. She and I went on this trip to California, and we were doing like a haunted road trip where we were driving up the coast of California and finding as many places as we could to stop at that were claimed to be haunted or had some kind of ghost story. And we did the Winchester House and the Whaley House, all the main stuff. But the one that we did not expect to get so much activity and such an experience at was this hotel called the Santa Maria Inn. And it's in, I thought it was in Santa Clara, California, but I think it's in the town next to it. But it's this big fancy hotel. It was known for having a lot of celebrities. So some of the rooms have these little plaques on the doors in honor of celebrities that stayed there a lot that have passed. And so I found it on the internet, and me and my mom decided to go to it since we were in the area. It's right near the Winchester house, so we were close by. And
Okay.
we go up to the front desk and we ask the lady if we can have a certain room, because the internet told us what rooms would have the most activity. And so we asked for that room, and the front desk lady said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that room's not available." And thanks to the internet, we knew to say, "Oh, we know it's because of the haunting. We want that room because of its haunting activity," because apparently the hotel won't let guests have rooms that have activity just to kind of keep it on the down low, because they don't advertise that they're haunted. But if you specifically ask for it, they have a piece of paper they whip out, and they're like, "Here's all our information on our hauntings." And they give us a bottle of champagne, and they send us on our way. And so we went up to our room, and when we got in, you walk in, and straight in front of you is the living area, like a living room. And to the left is a hallway, and then down the hallway is the bedroom, and then around the corner is the bathroom. So I went to the living room to read the guest book with all the ghost stories, and my mom went to use the restroom. And a few minutes later, I hear her call my name in a panic, and I holler back to her that I'm in the living area. And she says, "You're not in here." And she comes running out, and she tells me that she was in the bathroom and washing her hands, and somebody poked her in the back. And when she turned around, there was nobody there.
See, that's it. And I love investigations. I don't get a lot of chances to go to a lot of locations and everything because of what my wife and I do. We work a lot of residential cases.
Okay.
So we try to help not only paranormal teams with proper grounding protection, things like this, but we help clients. So that's what we do, and I'm making it a pact this year that I do want to get to some of these locations. I do
Yeah, it's
want to
really
go.
fun to
What's
visit
your
them. And
favorite
I
one?
unfortunately have never gone on a residential. So
You've never been on a
my
residential?
favorite one? Oh, that's tough. I've never been on a residential, no. I've had friends that have had stuff going on, and they've asked me. I've lived in houses myself that had stuff going on, but I've never investigated someone else's home for their activity.
Mm, mm. Well, I'm not sure if
But
you're
my favorite
familiar.
location.
Where is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My favorite
What's the
location is
name of
probably
it?
the Whaley House. I really enjoyed
The Whaley House. Okay.
in San Diego.
Yep. I think my number one that I think I would like to go to is Haunted Hill House
Yeah,
in Mineral
I would
Wells,
like to
Texas.
do Waverly Hills.
Hmm?
I would like to do Waverly Hills Sanatorium in
Oh
Kentucky. I've
yeah,
not done that one.
100%. What I'm in South Carolina, Stevie. So where are you located?
In Middle Tennessee, just outside Nashville.
Where?
Middle Tennessee, just outside Nashville.
Oh, okay. I used to live in Kingsport.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah, I was a youth pastor for a skate church in
Oh, wow.
in Kingsport, Tennessee.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
that was I've always been into the paranormal. I am clergy. I am a clergy. I am the associate pastor of Knights Templar Unity Church. I am the overseer for the Order of the Archangels. We are a spiritual warfare ministry. We are not paranormal clergy. We are a clergy that works in the paranormal. All of us have had our own experiences. Like I said, we concentrate mainly on helping families that are having issues and trying to help because I'm so tired of going into these residentials. I had a lady almost move out of her house with her son because this paranormal team came in and said that she had a demonic spirit in there because coffee cups were sliding across the table and cabinets were opening.
Oh, yeah. That
That's it.
jumping to
That's it.
conclusions
And
nonsense.
and if you study, I've studied theology for 30 years. 30 years. I specialize in spiritual warfare, demonology, and exorcism ministries. And to have a demonic presence, you know, there are particular things that you look out for. There's manifestation, infestation, oppression, possession, and in the past 5 years, there's obsession. And what that means is, like, after they get relieved from being possessed, that they are actually wanting something that they had during the possession that they no longer have. And the Bible is very clear that once a demon leaves you, that it will come back 7 times worse than what it was. And so the obsession part of it can actually mean the downfall of somebody. So when these people sit there and say, oh, because of a coffee cup going across, cabinets opening, and they say this is a demon, let's just put this out there right now. Quit using the word demon for your own views on YouTube and Facebook and things like that. Quit using it. Out of all the cases I've ever worked, and I still work to this day, do you know how many are actually demonic?
I imagine very few.
1%. 1% are actually demonic. So we went to this lady, and this lady was in tears, and her son were getting ready to go. So we were gonna, I have a paranormal team too, Outer Realms Paranormal. I have a team, so we do our own investigating. We're all in-house when we do it. We don't get another paranormal team to come in. You know, we do our own. We do our own investigating, our own identifying, our all cleansing, clearing. I mean, everything. We do everything on our own. And so we went, and this lady is scared to death. She is scared beyond measure. And we were sitting there talking to it, and she says, you know, it always happens around this time. You know, I'll get up from the living room and go into my bedroom and come back out, and then all my cabinets are open. Or she'll go in the morning, and she had a little bar that was right there, and she would go to try to grab her coffee cup, and it would shoot across the table. So this paranormal team came in and clearly told this woman twice, the same team came in and investigated twice, 2 nights in a row, that she had a demonic spirit in this house, had this woman ready to pack up and move. And I asked her, you know, because I really do my homework. I really do. I look at the grounds. I look at the history. I look how long you've been there. I look at all deaths within a 5-mile radius of anywhere around the house. If anything had happened in that house, if there was a suicide, if there was a death, 6 months earlier, her husband pulled his motorcycle out of the garage and left out the motorcycle and got smashed by a truck, killed him instantly.
Oh, wow.
So she had lost her husband. So not only did she lose her husband, but now she's got a paranormal team telling her that there's a demonic spirit in her house.
Yeah,
now she's alone. She's alone without her husband. She's got a kid to raise. And now the kid's thinking that there's a demon in the house. The mom's thinking there's a demon in the house. They're scared to death. So we start doing the investigation. We start doing it. And, you know, John kept coming through. His name, John, kept coming through. And that was her husband's name. And we started getting all these responses and everything. And I found out, like I said, 6 months earlier, he had passed away. And while he was living, she would go do the dishes. And when she went to go do the dishes, he would go open up all the cabinets and make her mad.
Well, alrighty then.
And so when the cabinets were opening, that wasn't a demonic presence. That was her husband letting her know that he's there with her.
Yeah, and then that team made her scared.
And to see that this woman's, I mean, her whole aura changed about everything, because I just wish, I tell my team and I tell other teams, I have a couple things. Do not get a YouTube education and debunk everything obvious first. And I wish more teams had that mentality, because you don't know how scary it is for a person that lives in a house to hear that there is a demonic infestation in their house. There is a fear level that brings in a house that is way out of the way. And until you know, and we trust me, in our cases, we definitely know. If it is that 1%, we know, because we have done our homework. We have known if it goes past, gets into demonic oppression, we bring in a doctor to get a physical. They have to have a psychological assessment. We have scientific ways. We eliminate everything that science can explain first. And then once medicine and treatment and things like that don't work, and the situation goes from oppression to possession and gets worse, that's when we step in.
That's good.
So,
I like that. I wish more teams did it that way.
And I do too. And I really wish that more teams would think about what they're doing when they go into these areas and they put all this stuff. And see, YouTube is filled. Every other paranormal show that you watch, there's a demon in it.
Yep.
Your definition of demon.
There's not even demons in the storyline.
Stevie, listen to this. I'm going to send this to you off of when we get off of here. This is a case that we currently have right now. And this woman, we do a visual interview from wherever the person is. So we're talking to them, and we have trigger points that we hit. We bring up a lot of religious issues. We get them to say the Lord's Prayer, or we get them to, say Jesus, or, how do you feel when you're holding up a cross or something like that? And we do it. And we have it. I have it on film. This woman, you can hear the snarling in her voice. You can hear the multiple voices coming out. She is speaking Latin. She's speaking German. She's speaking Aramaic, and she's speaking things. And these are not things that you can know. So I'll send you that video, but you'll see what a real demonic oppression looks like.
Yeah, I would really be interested to see that. Yeah.
I'll definitely send it. I'll definitely send it to your page. So let's talk about your show, Truth or Demons. Truth or Demons. So was your goal when you started out and had Truth or Demons, was it to promote paranormal, or was it something else?
My main focus when I very first started was just to tell the true stories behind the Conjuring movies. And that led into, I decided I was just going to cover the Warrens in general. And I did my very first episode on the history of the Warrens and how they started. And then my second episode was their first story, which was Annabelle. And then my third episode was, the story of the Perron family haunting, or Amityville. Perron family haunting, and then Amityville. And I tried to go in chronological order. And the more I was digging into the past, the more was going on in present day with the current team that Ed and Lorraine started, the New England Society for Psychic Research. I was getting tips, and people were asking me to cover different things that Nesper was doing currently. So it went from just covering Warren's cases to covering what Nesper is currently doing.
So if you put a description on what your show is, like for instance, this podcast that I use, Bridging the Seen and Unseen, my podcast is bridging the gap between paranormal and clergy. that was my goal in this podcast. I wanted to bridge the gap because I got tired of people going in and really needing help in churches. And the only thing that they get said was, oh, we'll put you on a prayer list. Well, sometimes, it takes some action to really help people, especially people that aren't in the paranormal, that aren't expecting all this. So, we wanted to be I want to be that voice for not only clergy around, but to let people know that there are clergy here that do believe you, that want to help you, and that will help you help even teens. I teach classes, Stevie. I teach classes on grounding, on protection, on theological approaches, on clearing and cleansings and stuff like that, how they can properly protect them and the people that are around them before, during, and after an investigation. I teach classes for that. So that's what I started this podcast for. What was your go ahead?
My main goal has always been and still is to distinguish the truth from the quote unquote demons, because demons are in everything, and turns out it's, like you said, very rarely demons, 1% of the time.
Exactly. Like, have you seen examples to where like you were friends with a team or something like that believe that they have demonic activity? And if so, like, what were your thoughts when you saw that they thought that it was demonic, and how do you approach that with them? Do you say something like, hey, this isn't demonic, I'm sorry to tell you, you guys are wrong? I mean, how would you approach that?
So I've not experienced anyone that I know personally have anything to do with demons, but what I do get a lot is friends and family or viewers, fans, anyone who watches the show or listens. They like to send me stuff that made them scratch their heads, and they'll ask me what my opinion of it is. It'll be a video of some paranormal activity, of something, flying across the room, or a Ouija board moving, or things like that. And stuff on the internet is really easy to debunk. It's like you have all these debunkers that are very skilled in what they do. So if someone sends me something like that, it's very easy for me to think about it logically and tell them where they can find reference on how this is faked. But then when it comes to the paranormal, my goal is I'm very science oriented. I need evidence. So if you're going to tell me that it's a demon, I'm not going to say you're not telling the truth, but you need to show me some evidence. And there are, you guys, demonologists and clergy people, have rules for determining whether or not there is a demon present. So if you can't prove any of those things to me that fall under those categorized things to expect, I can't back it. I can't be like, yeah, it's definitely a demon. I would be like, no, there's like a million other things it could be. I think we should address those things first.
Right. And that's so smart that you even do that, because like, even with our order, we have a checklist. We have a checklist that we go through, that we see everything. We have listed paranormal. They sign a waiver that for their mental health, if they're taking mental health medications, what they're diagnosed with. I mean, we have an entire checklist of things that we do. And I think it's smart with teams that are dealing, especially with residentials, that you do have that, because not only is it keeping you and your people that you have with you safe, but you're protecting the sanity of the people that it's happening to too. Because I would much rather debunk being a demon than actually having a demon.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always struggled with the idea of, like, so for example, the David Glatzel possession, the Arnie Shine Johnson case, and David, the boy, was possessed first, or allegedly. I had issues with that because why is the mother not more concerned about the health of their child? That why do they want it so badly to be a demon? Why didn't they try other avenues? Why didn't they take him to an actual psychologist? He was only seen by a general practitioner, and that guy said, yeah, he's fine. But that guy was brought in by the Warrens. So as a mom, like, I'm not a mom, but if I were a mom and my child is suffering, I would want to rule out every possible thing before we went down this avenue of stuff we don't really understand and can't really know if it's going to help or not, and it could harm more. So I just don't understand why everyone always wants to jump straight to a demon.
I definitely agree with you there. Like I don't understand how they wouldn't want to do that.
Exactly.
You know, they because, you know, you get a lot of these people who have grown up in church, who are at mass or church, you know, every time the door is open. So the first time that they can have a potential demonic, and then they actually have a psychologist or a psychiatrist come in and they're able to diagnose. And trust me, if it is a true demon, there is nothing in psychology or a psychiatrist can do that will help that situation except for neutralize the neuron and behavioral techniques temporarily of a true demonic infestation.
Yeah, I would imagine that would definitely be the case, because I've personally never seen anything demonic or a demonic case, but I imagine that if something is truly demonic, it can outdo medical stuff.
There's no answer for it, and that's the reason why I think it's very important, you know, because even with my order, you know, we have a waiver that they sign that they have to give us access to their doctors, whatever medications that they're on, if they have mental health, if they've had surgeries, I mean, anything like that. And we line up like for instance, if you take somebody with manic schizophrenia, that's treatable.
Yes, exactly.
But if you took someone with a manic schizophrenic episode and put them next to a demonic oppressive person, the similarities are uncanny.
Yes.
They look like
I've also heard. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I've also heard that there is, I've been reading that there is possible correlation in history when, say, a group of people decide a child is demonically possessed back before, you know, we had access to modern day medicine or anything like that. They would actually be exhibiting attributes of, like, say, a child that is autistic or any other kind of mental situations that we are very familiar with today. Back then, they're now realizing that some of those symptoms that they thought were demonic were easily explained in modern medicine today.
See, and I wish they were, because in all honesty, let's call a spade a spade. There's nothing in science that could justify a true demonic oppression or possession. It's not like, oh, you're a schizophrenic demon. Like, right. That's not going to happen. You know, so, I mean, there's ways that you check that. And it's so smart when people do check that. They do their homework behind situations, because it's like, I've talked to people that, you know, the minute they talk to you and they find out that you're clergy, that they want you to just come in and just perform an exorcism. And I'm telling you, an exorcism doesn't happen like that. You're talking, we may have a 6 month to a year process before an exorcism ever happens.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we have to make sure that there's nothing physically wrong, that if you are demonically oppressed, that you have a doctor there that is monitoring your heart rate, that is monitoring your fluids that you have in, you know, so nothing that is done outside of the spiritual way of doing things that we are held accountable for, because there are priests today that are spending time, if not life, in prison off a botched exorcism.
Wow.
They get blamed for it. They get blamed.
Yeah.
They call
I've
in
read
the
a lot of
priest.
stories about exorcisms ending in death.
You say what now?
I've read a lot of stories about exorcisms ending in death because they weren't properly taking care of their subject.
That's it. That's it. And they're all over. They're all over. I think there's less than 100 cases like that inside the United States. Most of them are overseas. Most of them are like in the Europe area and things like that. But they all, they have a demonic infestation or whatever. They tell them to move to a certain area, and it used to be that they just come and the demonic person will start having an episode, then they tie the person down or whatever. Well, then they started finding out that that after they died, they could have very seriously been possessed, but they had malnourishment. They were causing inflicted pains on themselves, cutting themselves, biting off their tongue, doing things like that. And I mean, and there are priests today that are serving life in prison because they went in and did their spiritual duty to try to help this person who was possessed, and they ended up passing away, and that got pushed off on. So people that do work in exorcism ministries, you really have to guard yourself. You really have to have a backup with a psychiatrist, with a regular doctor, and you have to know how to eliminate everything from mental health to physical issues and separate that from what demonic infestation, oppression, and possession really is.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea for sure.
It is. It's definitely a good idea, and I wish more people would do that. And I wish more paranormal teams, they wouldn't go do these. And this is another thing I don't understand. And tell me if you don't agree with this too. A family is having an issue, and they call the paranormal team. So the paranormal team goes in. They stir up what's going on in the house, and they say, oh, yeah, well, you got a haunted. Good luck.
Oh.
And they don't do anything to help them. So what good was that, having that paranormal team there in the first place?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Also, I don't like when paranormal teams go in and antagonize and say they have been dealing with something and now this team has made it worse.
And that's the honest truth. That's the honest truth. And that happens more than you know. More than you know. They come in and they're not getting the responses that they want, and then they want to antagonize and call the entity out or whatever it is, like call it out, like make it worse, like tell it to do violent things. Well, after you leave, it could really do those things that you were asking to the families that are living there.
Yeah,
because you might not have that fear of that entity being in there as a paranormal investigator, but that family has to live with that fear.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of my viewers have asked me if I thought maybe that Ed Warren did that with some of his investigations, because he used to say that he had to call him out because he was a layman and he needed physical proof that they existed.
See, now I can, but you also, I think he didn't do a lot of the hardcore investigating either.
Right.
And I really think like with me, like I started Outer Realms, as a platform, to not only promote other teams and things like that. We've been in for 2 years, and we're almost at 3,500 members. So I mean, because we promote each other. We don't have certain days that promotes this, and they can't do this, they can't do that. We welcome everything, and that's the one thing I got tired of seeing. People don't put evidence out there anymore, or they don't put their so-called evidence out there anymore, is because they get downshot for the evidence they have. And let's be truthful, Stevie. Perception is reality, 100%. The way that I perceive things is my reality. That doesn't mean it's your reality. But to make people feel stupid and to make people feel ignorant for putting that out, the way that they see things, because they were there, they experienced it, that's their reality. What's the sense in making fun of somebody or making them feel bad about putting evidence out when we are all in this for the same thing, to find the truth, to find answers?
Yeah, I was actually unaware anyone was being made fun of for putting out evidence. The issue I run into all the time is fake evidence being put out and pushed.
Mm-hmm. But that's again, even fake evidence, right? Perception is reality. And I do understand there are a lot of, with AI and stuff like that, you can put a lot of fake evidence out there. But say you have someone who really does have a paranormal experience and they're wanting to share it with the paranormal field, because people come on and fake and they use AI generations and things like that, then they get called fake. And it's like, so
Yes.
what's the sense in me trying to show you guys anything when I get made fun of or I get called a fake every time I try to put something out? Now, do
I
you
think
think
it's too
that's
much.
fair to people who are actually really trying to show evidence?
No, I don't, and it's a problem because I'm in a few ghost groups on Facebook where they share photos of things they think are paranormal, and they'll ask people's opinions and stuff. And I'll see people that share something that they're genuinely asking about, and then I'll see people share stuff that they've clearly photoshopped or clearly, created with the AI or whatever it is, and then they'll have people going off in the comments about how. So if you have someone that shared something they're genuinely asking about, you'll have people in the comments saying it's fake and making them feel like they're stupid for sharing it. But then if you have someone showing something fake, it's really wild to me how many people will be like, "Oh my God, that's so scary. You must be so terrified." And the amount of people not calling out the faking, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, and I know. And then not only that, but then that's where the bullying comes in.
Yes.
That's where the bullying comes in. And you and I can get in this conversation for hours about this. But it seems that today's paranormal is more about drama, getting over on someone, threatening people,
Yeah.
than it is about paranormal.
Oh yeah. It's become this competition of who can have the most attention in the paranormal.
It's almost it reminds me, I used to watch Goodfellas when I was a kid, with Mafia, Sopranos and stuff like that. And I'm looking at all this happening and I'm like, what is this, like the paranormal mafia?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Laura says it's a popularity contest. It definitely is. And yeah, the mafia thing, I have personally seen some of these people act like they think they're mobsters.
I mean, for what? For what? For what? We have
Intimidation,
no
delusion.
scientific proof that
Yeah.
anything in the paranormal works. There's nothing there's no set anything. We're
Exactly.
all in this to try to find answers. And you want to create the biggest teams with the biggest numbers and be against all these people for what? Where does that truly get you?
Yep. I think a lot of the time they're under this delusion that it's gonna make them famous. I feel like a lot of these people are trying to have some sort of paranormal fame.
Famous for what though? I mean, are
Like
you
that.
gonna be famous for what you said about the next person, or are you actually gonna be famous for being a good paranormal investigative team?
Well, we have really bad examples in the fame realm, so I think that's one of the biggest problems is these people looking up to these fakers in fame and thinking, oh, that's what I want to do because they've got a lot of money or because they've got a lot of attention or whatever it is they think they have that they want.
YouTube education.
Yeah.
YouTube education. It's real. It's real. I can't believe. And that reminds me of a story when my son was 15 years old. He can't cook a lick. My son would be the kind that would go out and he would buy 7 Red Baron pizzas a week because he can throw it in the oven. He couldn't cook a lick. And I'm like, well, what if you had a girl over? And this is no lie. I said, what if you have a girl over and she wanted something romantic? What are you going to do? Stick candles in a Red Baron pizza? And he was like, well, I've always got YouTube. And I'm like, really, dude? Really?
That's amazing.
You're going to have your girl sit there with you and watch a YouTube on how to do something that you're supposed to be doing with her. Where's your creativity behind that, bud?
That's all these people follow YouTube, and that's a problem because we've got people like Zach on YouTube now, and they have these massive audiences, and I don't understand. I don't understand how that many people can believe stuff like that.
I know. And it does happen like that. Sean, are you still on?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Sean, I see that we have some comments coming up. Can you say hey to everybody for us? I can't see the screen.
Let's see. Let me go back up to the top here. We have Carla from Hora.
Hey, Carla.
Hi, Carla.
We have Ms. Gwen Johns.
Hey, Gwen. Brown. That's my producer.
Let's see. Aaron Wings in the house.
That's my team lead for Outer Realms, and he's also part of the Order of the Archangels.
Susan Victoria is here.
Oh, I love her. She is amazing.
Nikki Atwell, one of my team members, is in here.
Hey, Miss Atwell, how are you?
Let's see. Wayne Dawson is in the house.
Okay. All right. Hey, Wayne.
Karen Carrick.
That's my mother.
Yep, she's in the house. Let's see who else we got here. Just trying not to miss anybody. Christina.
That is a big dog, Stevie. What is it, Sean?
Kristen May is in the house.
Kristen Mary. Yep.
Let's see.
Hi,
Laura Pruitt.
Laura Pruitt.
If there was a YouTube link.
Yep. I think I posted that there. Hopefully they can get back on it. There should be
did anybody have any comments or questions on anything?
They were just making some comments. Some like this one right here by Laura. She made what I hate when people go in and start snapping images and go in and just asking to do it. Stuff, don't do that. Won't get anything good coming out. You get all bad stuff. Now, if you go in, ask permission, take pictures, can explore your homes to see if you need help crossing over. Why are you doing this? And not going in and making them do polar tricks. That was one.
Parlor tricks, yeah. I agree.
Let's see. Hang on. I gotta find some other little comments here.
I know Kristen Mary said something too.
Let me go back up and catch it here. She asked about a YouTube link, and I think I posted it. Go to the All Access one. All Access Network Television should have the YouTube running that. Let's see. Stevie is a true expert in the Warrens and their antics. That was by Wayne Dawson.
Wayne, 100%. 100% she is. She does her homework.
I found something recently that I thought you guys might find interesting.
Go ahead. Yeah, please tell us.
In the 70s, in 1976, Lorraine is quoted saying they do not like to use psychiatrists in their work.
Wow.
Oh, so hold on. They do not like to use psychiatrists. So what are they dependent on? Psychic abilities?
Ed's psychic and Ed's abilities and Lorraine's psychic abilities, Ed's demonology training and Lorraine's psychic abilities, and any clergyman they bring in. That's all they had. Oh, and they had a doctor that worked for them that would sign off on anything psychiatric if it was asked about.
That's
Anything.
Yeah,
You
like with
said
the
they would
Glasgow
just
case, they
sign
brought
off
in
on
a general
anything? Like if
practitioner.
they said it was something, they would just sign off on it?
They would say it wasn't psychiatric.
Oh. That's interesting. See, and I we can get into a whole different conversation about that. But I did want to say hello to everybody and thank you guys too. We still got about 9-10 minutes or so. Hey mom, I just want to say hey to you. But CB, I love your show. I love what your show does.
Thank you.
I love what you do. I love the amount of work and study that you actually put into it. And you put a lot of factual stuff in there. I mean, stuff that people can go in and they can look at themselves and they can see, and even stuff that people have looked over for years.
Roger Brown is in the
I
house.
like people being able to access the information. I think it's wrong to say you have it and then not share it. I think that's insanely wrong.
That's so when you have your
Hi,
name,
Roger.
truth or demons, truth or demons, like what was it more on finding the truth, or was it trying to debunk using the word demon?
Both, actually. The whole concept of it, like originally my show was called Distinguishing Demons, but that's kind of a mouthful and I didn't really like it. So, but it's basically that. It's distinguishing the truth from a possible demon. Is there a demon or is there more truth behind it?
So do you have any other shows coming out that you want people to pay attention to?
Yeah, actually, so I have a couple episodes coming out on my channel, and then also I am a co-host on another show called Fear the Living podcast, and we discuss all that stuff and more over there, and we have live conversations, and it's really fun. But yeah, I have an Annabelle Part 3 coming out. I have even more evidence. I have another quote to share with everyone from Annabelle's original owner. I have another thing that was so the tour was happening and Annabelle was a big deal and all these people were saying different things. I had someone post that Lorraine herself said that they used a decoy and it wasn't even a real haunted doll that they were toting around. So I've got a lot coming on Annabelle all over again.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of that, I mean, what are your thoughts, like true thoughts? You know, not coming from research or anything, on haunted items.
I struggle with that because I have yet to experience myself anything like that. I never like to discount anyone's story because none of us have any evidence one way or the other. So I think it's kind of rude and insensitive to say someone's making it up. But I also have this very cautious way of approaching subjects like that. I don't want to feed into anything that might further, create a story if they are lying, or like I like to address things with science first. I've always been that way. I don't think anything is not possible. Like everything is possible in my opinion. We don't have answers. We are searching for answers every day. So I think it's kind of arrogant to say one way or the other, but
Right.
I fully believe that there are things outside of our realm of understanding that can happen. And I can't discount objects. There have been so many stories over the years where people really believe that an object has either an attachment or some sort of influence from the other side, something like that. What I do not believe is that there are demons in them.
Right. Of course. You know, I don't think so either. I do believe in incantations. I do believe that there can be an evil spirit that is attached to something, but that's because it wants to be attached to you. You know,
I
it,
believe
you
in
know,
energy. So yeah, I think that goes kind of with that. It's a matter of energy and the kind of energy you put out and the kind of energy you accept into your energy, that kind of thing. I definitely think there are levels of good and evil stuff as far as like the energy goes and what is out there because there's too many stories to discount and say nothing's real.
100%, 100%. And then what do you think about these, like for instance, in Tennessee, they have the Witch's Cave. Have you heard of that?
The Bell Witch.
I don't know if it's an old cave or whatever that people have took like rocks out of there.
Yes, that is the Bell Witch Cave. It is a very, very famous story in Tennessee. It's in Adams, Tennessee. The funny thing about the Bell Witch Cave story is all the facts have been debunked. And also,
So it has been debunked.
yes, there's actually a lot of controversy in the town because if you try and talk to someone that is in favor of the story being real, they will get really upset with you and tell you, like, kind of get mean about it. I've seen several interviews where they interview people who are supportive of the story and then people who know it's not real. And
so you don't think it's haunted?
It's a money thing. The story was generated for tourism. And the funny thing about the story is it's in 3 different states. Oh, I see. That's another thing. I don't believe that there's a quote unquote witch haunting it. I don't believe that at all. I think the John Bell family story is a good story, but there's no factual basis for it. I don't, however, not think that there's something there, because the biggest thing about the ground in Tennessee is this is Civil War ground. So we have a lot of hauntings related to Civil War, Native Americans, because they pushed the Native Americans out of their land. This land is so full of tragic happenings that I cannot discount that possibility because of the land it's on. So my belief is if anybody did experience anything, they may have thought, maybe it's the Bell Witch because we know this story. This story is so well told. So I think that's where that correlation comes in.
So where did they get the witch idea from? Where did that come from?
So the story is that John Bell and his family got in an argument with a neighbor, Kate Batts, and it was apparently a land dispute, which there was a lot of at the time. And if one man was richer than the next, it was easy to take over people's land, and it was easy to, like, if you had more prominence in a society, you were taken more seriously and you could push people out of their land. So I think the main thing was the land dispute, which turned into over time Kate became a witch, and then she became this witch that wanted to retaliate against the family for taking her land. And then these stories kind of grew. And then the main quote unquote evidence for the stories is a journal allegedly written by the John Bell's son, who was 5 at the time. So according to history, the people who believe this story, all of this came from a 5-year-old's journal that nobody has access to. No one has ever seen it, the physical journal.
Oh, so it could just literally be a fairy tale.
Exactly. And I honestly believe it could have been built around the fact that there may be activity on the land because, like I said, the land is very active.
That's interesting. Stevie, why don't you tell people how they can get a hold of you and, how to watch your show and everything?
For sure. You can find me on every platform, every podcast platform, and on YouTube, Truth or Demons Podcast. And then I'm on the social medias, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of those. Same thing, Truth or Demons Podcast. And if you want to email me, it's trutherdemonspodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Awesome. Stevie, you have been a wonderful guest. I can talk to you for hours, about stuff. Okay. And you and I have had some great conversations, and I'd like to continue. And I am going to send you that video. And this is a case that is active right now.
Okay.
So I'll send that. I am going to ask you not to share that.
Oh, absolutely.
To anybody. Okay. But I do appreciate having you. You've been an amazing guest. And just with me right now, Stevie, just tell people, just be good to each other. Quit bullying each other. Quit trying to throw stuff at people and throw shade at people. Just be a good person, right?
Yeah, and try to quit lying. It's really easy not to lie.
Yeah, that's a conscious choice too, so yeah, you got to do it. Well, Stevie, you have been an amazing guest, and I really appreciate having you. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. I had the best time.
All right. Take care.
All right.
You too.
Guys, that was an awesome show. I mean, she is wonderful. You guys, please look her up. Truth or Demons. I mean, she does her homework on everything, and it's so good, guys. And about this whole thing about paranormal teams, guys, just be good to each other. Don't need to put people's background or try to expose everybody and put people's addresses and stuff like that out there. It makes no sense. You should not be getting that close to somebody that you want to expose them online and put them and their families in danger. It's just, it makes you look bad in the long run. But guys, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for being on this show. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for everybody watching. And I hope you have a wonderful week. So you guys stay safe, be blessed always, and stay spooky, people. Peace.